Hi. Yeah, we have another guest today, and we wanted to give her a proper introduction. Rheanna Sorenson is a development assistant at Fullwell 73, which is James Corden's production company. I have known her for several years. We came up at Paramount Pictures together as studio pages, where we gave tours in goofy khakis and a black blazer. We have her on to discuss Buffy the Vampire Slayer. She has pretty much introduced Bear and I to this show. Isn't that right, Bear?
Absolutely, yeah. It came in totally blind. Had to call an expert.
Yeah, we have never watched an episode, and she was the one that told us not only to watch it, but which specific episodes to watch to discuss on the show. She discovered the show when she was about 4 years old. She really related to a strong female lead and the importance of friendships and struggle with identity. And she also went as Buffy for 3 Halloweens when she was a child. So she is by far the most expert on the show that we know. And we thought, hey, let's bring her on. Let's talk about it. And she's a fantastic guest, and we can't wait for you to hear our conversation. Rheanna, what the hell was that?
Oh, yes. Oh, God, yes! Welcome back to Is It Still Good? The show with 2 grown-up film students who hate growing up. I'm Bear Kennedy. I'm still marooned in Boston. So for the time being, I'm the guy who does his job. You must be the other guy. And joining me, as always, is the other guy.
Yes, I am the other guy who also does his job, hopefully pretty well, I guess. Andrew Carter in Los Angeles. As always, I'm not going anywhere. I am stuck here. I am trapped. I am a loser, and I am sad. But
Give it to
hopefully to cheer us up today, we have the lovely Rheanna Sorenson, my friend from our days as Paramount Pages when we were tour guides on that old dusty Hollywood lot where all that history is. Do you remember those days, Rhee?
Fondly.
Fondly. What a great answer. So we have Rheanna on today to discuss Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the original Joss Whedon series that ran from 1997 to 2003. Fun fact, neither Bear nor I had ever seen an episode until we watched the list that Rheanna gave us. So, Rheanna, you're the expert. You're the avowed major fan. What's your earliest memory of watching Buffy, and what did you watch it in order? Did you find it, and then how did that happen?
I think I kind of jumped into it because, like, now looking at the years you just described, like 97, I was technically like 4 years old. So
Nice.
I must have just found it on television. I don't know which season, but like it's my earliest like television memory, like before Disney Channel, before Nickelodeon. Like Buffy was my first like intro into TV.
Wow.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
So was that like, did you feel like you were getting away with something? Like, did your parents know that this was maybe not children's programming? Like, how'd you get into that so young?
Honestly,
Yeah.
I'm not even sure. It must be, I'm the youngest child, so it must have just been like I was off on my own, scrolling through television. They put a lot of trust in that. And but then my sister, I have 2 older sisters, and they got into it, but they weren't nearly as big as fans as I was. And I think my mom kind of enjoyed it. I mean, rewatching it now, I was like, oh wow, this was for like teens and adults. But,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
but it all like most of it like went over my head. You know, I just enjoyed the fighting and like the sexual things and all of that.
I love that little 4-year-old Rheanna just like stumbling upon this like very clearly teen adult drama with like violence, sex appeal, horror elements, and you're just like scrolling through and then you just get transfixed like, oh. Because when you're a kid and you see something that you like, you just like you watch it. You don't know why you like it.
Yeah, I was like, this is it. This is what I'm gonna commit
So
myself.
did you see the pilot first, or were you like just stumbled on one and then stuck with it?
It had been the first season I introed to, because I don't remember, like I remember staying with it because once the season, I remember watching the series finale and like crying, like sitting in front of the TV and crying that it was over and being so devastated by that. So I must have stuck with it. I just don't know when I jump in.
So if you were, so the series finale, if you were, so you were like 10 and you knew like this is over, like
Yeah.
the show is done. Wow.
This
That's
is
impressive.
my final episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Yeah.
Did you get the DVDs for Christmas and
I had
stuff?
the DVD sets. I had the Xbox game. It was the only game like on Xbox that I completed. Like I actually completed the entire
Oh my God.
How was it? Are you a big gamer, or was this just because of
I'm not a gamer at all.
Well, all right, so that's even more interesting. So did you like the game? Because like a lot of the times the licensed games will be complete shit, especially back in the day.
It was
So
pretty
was it
fun.
worthwhile?
Yeah, I liked it because it was like you'd be Buffy, so then you would just like fight vampires, but you could have like my sisters could play and be like other characters, and we figured out like cheat codes. So I did kind of cheat my way through it, but
But you're not a gamer by your own admission.
I'm not a
so
gamer.
no judgment. You know, you're in for a different experience.
yeah, I didn't care. I just wanted to like complete it and fight all the demons.
Wow. I didn't even know there was a fucking game for Buffy.
Had no
And
idea.
not only
That's
do
new
you
information.
know, yeah, not only were you like, oh, there was a game and you beat it. Like,
Yeah, not into video games, but beat the hell out of that one. That's awesome.
I was never really into video games either, but I think for a split second I was, and I've never beaten a video game in my life. I've never
Like
even
I
come
said,
close.
I cheated.
I play a lot. I beat games all the time. So quarantine's been really good for me in that regard.
You're a gamer? I had no idea you were a gamer.
Well, no one likes that label, but yeah, I mean, I've got
dabble.
a depth of knowledge that's pretty unrivaled. That's why I'm always bothered that you don't, because I still have.
We would like get along about it.
Well, I have all the old systems. Like I have everything in working order. From going back to childhood. Yeah, so I have all kinds of shit.
That's worth something, man. You should consider like
Worth something to me.
No, you should. I'm talking about worth something to the markets, baby. Stimulate the economy. Sell that shit. We need it.
This is a really weird story, but I went to Vegas in like maybe 2009 or so, and I went with a guy who I won't name drop like Carter, but this is definitely a guy who Carter knows. Easily like that friend you have that's really sketchy, like the friend where you're like, we don't hang out all the time, and I think when we're not hanging out, you're doing meth. But good.
I
dude
think
to
I
go to
know who it
Vegas with.
is.
Yeah, from that description, you know exactly who this is. But we ended up going to Vegas for like a Friday through Sunday, typical just LA to Vegas weekend. And he pawned his Super Nintendo with all his games for like $160, and that's all he had for the weekend. And again, this was in 2009, so like the market for that shit wasn't super high, but that's all he had for cash, like in his life. And I remember he went through like $80 of it really quick when we first got there, and was a huge pain in the ass for the rest of the weekend.
Because he was like, I can't afford anything.
Just watching his cash stack be diminished before his eyes. That was a good time.
Interesting. It has to be worth more now, wouldn't it?
I would think so. I mean, I think he got taken, but he was in a desperate position. So
yeah, got to go to Vegas.
Yeah, that's what I think too. I was like, 160, that's it.
But if you don't pawn your shit, it should work for a long time. So I do have a Super Nintendo. I've got my old Genesis.
Do they have do you have the right hookups for them for like a current TV?
I know every show you bring up how I've quit Hollywood and moved on, but yet again, I was a TV engineer. That shit is not hard for me.
That is true.
I do have it all hooked up.
He quit Hollywood.
You keep every time. I'm like, yes.
I don't mean, but it's funny because
like Bear gave up on his dreams.
I know, that's what it's.
I'm like, dude, I did it. I'm out. So
that's hilarious because it's every episode it just turns into like, don't give up on your dreams, guys, because
except for Bear, because he did.
Because he did. Yeah. Wait. So go ahead, dude.
Unfortunately, I was going to bring it back to the topic at hand, so I don't know if you're ready for that.
I was, but go ahead.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is my first time really watching the TV show Buffy.
Yeah.
I think I caught some episodes over the air when I was a kid, but just never really got into it. So you picked out, I think, 6 episodes or so for us to watch, which I did watch all of them. So Rheanna, tell us your thought process. Did you Were these your favorite, or are these considered to be the best? I want to know more about why I watched what I watched.
Yeah.
I think it's a mixture. Like my favorite, I like the pilot just because I like the intro into like the world.
And you said pilot, and I watched that, and it was a cliffhanger, so I did end up watching the one after it. So I didn't know if that was intended, but I was into the story.
I didn't think about it, but a lot of the episodes are like that, so that makes sense.
I figured it might have been a 2-part pilot, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna for sure watch both parts because I needed that closure.
Yeah, you needed the closure.
Yeah, me too. Like it ends on literally on a freeze frame of a guy about to eat Buffy, and I'm like, I can't not know what happens next.
No, there was even if that wasn't included, I was like, I'm fucking watching that.
Yeah, it's not gonna be like, okay, next on the list, season 6, episode 3. Like, no, I gotta finish.
But yeah, they're just kind of. I think they were like, in the world of Buffy, they're just like the popular episodes. I feel like you get a lot from the characters in all of those too. Because I was rewatching them, and there was one where it was like introduced, like a couple of them introduced new characters that are like in the series for a long time, and I was like, oh, that's glad I picked that one.
Nice.
But yeah, so
and we jumped through the seasons a little bit too. So I'll just recap the ones we watched. We watched the pilot, both parts. Then we jumped to season 2, episode 14, Innocence. Then season 3, episode 9, The Wish. Season 4, episode 10, Hush. Season 6, episode 7, Once More with Feeling. And that was a musical episode. And then season 2, episode 6, Halloween. So I actually watched them in that order too. I don't know why.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I jumped back for.
I think I
forgot
one last.
Okay, I forgot about that, and so I went back.
I asked you, like, wait, is there one that, because I've heard about it and I didn't know if it was Buffy, and you're like, oh yeah, season 2, episode 6 is classic. Yeah, just throw that on there. It's like another piece of meat on the grill. Like, yeah, throw it on there. That'll cook just fine.
Yeah, that one's good too.
Yeah.
So are you that well versed in it that you like you know the seasons kind of in and out? Are you like what's your level of fandom here?
I think it is near and dear to my heart. All things Buffy. Like I was Halloween for Buffy as a child. I wrote a song for the intro.
Nice.
But like in my adult life, it was something. Yeah.
Was it good?
It rhymes. It's.
Do you still know it?
Yeah.
Can we
hear it? We gotta hear it a little.
Let me try and like get it back in my head.
Was it to the tune of the Nerf Herder intro?
I tried to, but I was like 8 years
rules.
old, so I could only.
It does roll hard.
Yeah, but it's okay. I think I remember it. It has its own beat. Okay, so it's if you want me, come and get me. I'm a slayer. You can't defeat me. If you want this, come and get this. See my pretty lashes, you'll be in ugly ashes.
Oh,
that's good,
man.
That's good. It's a different vibe. I like that it's not. Yeah. You know, that would be a good like alternate title sequence.
Yeah, it was. I just
what if right after that we were like, all right, thanks for listening, guys. No, that was awesome.
No, that was good.
I love the fact that you remembered it too.
Yeah, it's the only song I ever wrote.
Did you when we were texting a little bit, you said you were Buffy 3 times for Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
Were those 3 years in a row, or was it spread out?
I think it like skipped a year. I remember being in like 5th grade. I was Buffy specifically. And it was just a cheer costume with like a stake and like a cross.
Yeah. That's good enough. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like
Buffy.
She's a cheerleader. Kind of blended. I don't know if you guys ever heard or seen of the movie from like the 90s, Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yeah, Kristen Swanson.
Yeah.
I remember it. I didn't see it, but yes, I remember like it was funny because I remember for a long time I was really confused. Like, okay, there was a movie and then there's a TV show. Like, are they this? Like, when I was younger, I was like, but wait, are they the same thing? And then I learned, like, yeah, you can adapt things for other mediums. And I was like, oh, okay. But like when I was a kid, I'd like go to Academy Video and like see the poster for Buffy the Vampire Slayer on the window. Like now on video cassette, and then I'd go home and turn on the WB and like see a commercial for Buffy, and I was like,
yeah,
like,
what is this?
Yeah, and I didn't get it. But did you see the movie before you watched the show?
I think I actually ended up seeing the movie after getting into the show because I was a fan, and I think my mom was probably like, "Oh, you should like. There's actually a movie. You should watch it." And that it's really funny and like kind of like a cult classic feel, I think, to it.
Did you like the movie more than the show, or do you like the show more?
I like the show more, yeah, but the movie like does its job.
Yeah. According to Joss Whedon, because he wrote the film
Mm-hmm.
script and created the show and everything, the script that went around town was like really acclaimed, but the movie wasn't. And he and the director of the movie disagreed on like the vision and the point of view about it. And basically, he was like, "I wrote this scary movie, like that takes place in high school with horror elements." But the director was like, "I just thought it was a fun little, statement on what people think vampires are." And he was just like, "No." But the, film is a director's medium. And so she took it and like made it this thing. And he was like, it was crushing.
Interesting.
And
I
so
just looked it up. I thought it was a Wes Craven movie, but it's not. It's by Rubel Kazooie, which not
who
familiar
the
with that name.
well I looked her up and was like, she hasn't done much since. But Joss Whedon was like, so when they approached him to make a TV show, he was, first of all, he was elated, like, oh cool, now I get to do it again and make it the way I want to make it, hopefully. But he basically came up with the pitch of like high school as a horror movie, and that's what helped sell the show. Which, if you really think about it, it totally works, because every episode that we watched, there was a theme that teenagers in high school deal with that was, underneath everything. Yet they were fighting werewolves and vampires. Also, I gotta know, why do the vampires growl like werewolves? They're kind of like,
yeah, I think they're just like beasts.
Yeah, they're like beasts. Yeah. They're not. Like, when I think of vampire, I picture like Bela Lugosi, which means that I need to like.
You have a very classical interpretation.
Yeah, that's like how I always see vampires. It's just Bela Lugosi, like, slick back hair and the cape. I definitely need. That's antiquated. I need to update that. But like, but it was so interesting to see. And then like in the pilot when Darla is like, "Are we alone?" and he's like, "Yeah," and she's like, "Good," and you're like, like that turn was crazy. But it's they look like a mix between like Romulans from Star Trek and like werewolves a little bit. But it was it was definitely like an interesting take on it. Did you, when you were watching the show, did you find that you watched it alone mostly? Or I know you said your sisters weren't the biggest fans, but did you have like friends to watch it with, or were you just kind of like, this is my thing and this is what Buffy and me, baby? Like,
yeah, it was. I think my sisters would come in on it in and out, but I didn't have any friends that were watching it. That's what I was thinking too. I was like, I was so young, and I was like, everyone else was, a lot of my friends, like, I never watched SpongeBob, and I was like, I wonder if I just skipped SpongeBob and went straight to like teen content.
I love that. That's awesome. Because I've said this before, I think just to Carter, but like I read like the first 3 or 4 Harry Potter books when I was like 12, and then I read a Stephen King book, and I was like, fuck this. Like, I am now reading books for adults. Like, this is kiddie shit. I don't care. And so like I was kind of the right age for Harry Potter, but I just abandoned it, and I'm just not as into it. And I think if you get a hold of something that's like a little beyond what you should watch as a kid, and it clicks with you, that's a one-way street. Like, there's no going to SpongeBob when you're hanging out with Giles and fucking Allison Hannigan and everyone. Like, it's too good. Like, it's a better, it's more engaging. It's way better. So I think, I don't know that you missed out on anything by skipping SpongeBob, but
did you watch SpongeBob?
Did I? No.
Yeah, I didn't either.
My sister was into it.
I'm usually the only one, and everyone's like, "What?" And I'm like,
"No, I know that. I know what you mean. I feel that way too sometimes, but I never watched it. I always was like, when it came out, I remember being like, I'm too old for that, or something stupid like that. But like, I think it was because it came out early 2000s or whatever. I was really into like Friends and. Yeah. God, what else? I don't know.
I've never watched it, but I guarantee I know the entire opening song to it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, everyone
Guaranteed.
does. Yeah.
Fucking pineapple and all that shit.
Yeah.
I was also more into movies, and I remember watching these like adult dramas, not like R-rated stuff, but like when I was 12, I loved The Perfect Storm.
Oh yeah.
Like, I was like, oh,
I love
this.
The Perfect Storm.
I still love it. It holds up. It's great. I watch it like once a year. It's fantastic. I think it's so underrated. No one talks about it ever.
It is a good one. It was on the other day or like a few weeks ago, whatever
Really?
time.
I have it on Blu-ray.
It's on every day at Carter's house.
I always put it on like summertime, a little like around that. I don't know. I just think I love that movie. But like I was into that, and I remember liking like The Fast and the Furious, like, you know, and like being really engrossed in these kind of like dramatic like adult dramas. I don't know. But I didn't. Yeah, it's funny to think about it because like at the time Buffy was out, I really was only watching Friends. I don't think I watched a whole ton of like TV shows when I was younger. I watch way more TV now.
So that's such a good point. So Rheanna, was this like appointment viewing for you? Because this was before really DVR and shit. So you'd have to tape it.
Yeah, you'd have to be there.
It. Yeah. So did you, once you got into it, was it like, I'm going to watch this, like, you know, it was probably like a Thursday night show, right? That's like prime time for WB, if I had to guess, probably like Thursday, 8 o'clock. You were like on it. And if you missed it, would you catch up? Like, did you ever have that happen where you miss an episode because you had to like go to, I don't know, some family thing and you were pissed?
I think I was able to watch it like weekly, and then, or I was able to do like the whole like where you taped it on like a separate TV or something.
Yeah.
And then I would record over like some dance recital or something accidentally.
Oh, dude. And nothing was worse than leaving the thing to record and then coming back and finding out that it didn't record.
Oh, awful. It's one of the worst things that happened.
Devastating. Yeah. Like, because you're like, you're out at your stupid little fucking thing, but in the back of your head, you're like, at least I got Buffy going. And then you come home and
everything
else
can go wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Everything else can go wrong and it didn't work. So out of the ones that you sent us, which one is your favorite?
I really like, I mean, it's like the darker one, I guess, but like Innocence, where she like loses her virginity. That one was an important episode.
So I thought that might have been the case. I could tell it was like the first time she hooked up with Angel.
Yeah.
But we're in season 2 at that point. I wasn't sure if that was like the first time. And again, I watched this with no context. Like I just watched the episodes that you threw out.
Right.
So I kind of had to rely on the previously on to get caught up. So I didn't have too much of a problem with it, but I didn't realize that was like she lost it. She became a woman. Okay.
Oh yeah. And then like Angel loses his soul.
Yeah.
That's a whole thing.
He goes back to being the killer, right?
Yeah, he turns into like an asshole, which it's beautiful.
Which is very David Boreanaz or whatever.
Bad Boreanaz.
Bad Boreanaz. He's apparently a huge dick.
That's awesome.
No, I heard that. It makes me so sad. He's
like
how's his personality though?
both dicks.
Yeah, both big, both dicks. I've heard that I've heard he's one of the guys that like don't look me in the eye.
Oh,
like on set or
Vanilla?
whatever. Yeah, he had an affair like cheating on his wife or something. I don't know. I know. Was he like your first crush?
He was. So like my first celebrity crush member is Leonardo DiCaprio from Titanic.
Oh yeah, of course.
Understandable.
You were 4. You were 4 when Titanic came, so you were you were young.
I was evolved.
Oh my god. That's incredible.
But Angel was like a close second. I didn't even know his real name until like my adult life. I always called him Angel.
Did you watch Angel as well?
Sorry. I didn't watch Angel actually. I stuck to Buffy.
Huh.
Wow. Did you not watch Angel because like you also, what question, when Angel started, because it started in 99, was he still making appearances on Buffy or did he stop?
A little bit, and then eventually they cut it off, but I think she crossed over into like a few of his episodes too.
Okay. Do you know how he got cast as Angel?
No.
So apparently he was walking his dog on the street and a talent agent like saw him and like called surreptitiously like, we found our Angel. Like approached him, and then like that's how they got him.
That's it.
That's the most insane thing I've ever heard. Like that doesn't happen anymore. I remember I worked at a barbecue restaurant and like 5 years ago, and when I was a little bit more focused on acting, and this guy came in, and he was like, he wanted to like order because like it was like counter service, and so you came in and you took their order. And the tips were shit because it was counter service. So like people thought they didn't have to tip, so they just didn't tip at the counter. And so we'd go. I remember one time I went home with like $6 and wanted to kill myself. And this guy comes up, and so basically the reason I bring that up is because when someone comes to the counter, like you have to talk them up to make sure that hopefully they like you and leave a tip. And so this guy comes up and he's like, "I'll get the the chicken salad or whatever." And he's like, "And are you and he was like, "Are you an actor? Are you a model?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm an actor a little bit." He's like, "Oh man, you have a great look." And I was like, "Oh, thanks a lot, whatever." And like, so I felt like I was like, "Oh, am I being discovered? Like, am I, is this happening for me? Like, wow, is this going to be is this my story?" And then he's like, "Well, here's my card or whatever." And he gave me his card. And then like, I got his food to go or whatever. And then I went home and like Googled him. It was like, and people were like, "Don't do it." And like, it was all these reviews that were like, like went up to me in a Target and like, I lost $150 or something. And I was like, how does this guy have a card? And how does he like walking around? So I just obviously didn't pursue it. But I remember like texting friends about it and was like, "You think I should?" Like, and they were like, "Who is he?" And then when I found that out, they were like, "No. Don't at all."
That's too bad.
I thought I was gonna have my own like, walking a dog story and getting. Yeah. I was really excited. I was like, "Ooh!" I remember I like after the end of my shift, I took off my apron, I swung it over my shoulder, and was like, "All right," like feeling great.
I'm a single successful guy.
Yeah, I quit. Yeah.
You quit your job.
I was like, "Listen, honey, I'm going on that vacation to Maui that I've always wanted to go on, and then when I get back, I'm starting this thing."
I have had that happen to me multiple times for my voice and never had it go anywhere.
Because you sound like Seth Rogen?
Yeah, because I sound like this. So I've been like, in probably a handful of times, like ordering it like In-N-Out Burger, had someone hear me just talking and been like, "Holy shit, can I get you to do voiceover shit?" And I always say yes and take the card, and then I never follow up. So
that's savage.
Fuck off. I'd rather talk about stupid shit with my friend on this podcast. And also, like, I can't sing. Like, this is it. This is the extent of my vocal talent.
Yeah, but maybe they're making like, maybe they want you to do like some animated stuff. I'm sure that pays good money. You could do it.
It pays better than this, but that's a low bar.
Yeah. Bear and I pay each other for this.
Yeah, like, just a constant stream of them.
Not getting paid for this, so
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. But so when you dressed up as Buffy for Halloween, what changed over the years, like in terms of not only like the costume, but like, I guess for lack of a better term, like how you felt? Like, did you feel like, "I'm Buffy, I'm a badass" every time, or were you more kind of like, I'm doing this because I can't think of anything else"?
It was a mixture. It was always a good fallback because I had the uniform, or I could like update it with my age a little bit. So by the time I was 12, I was a really slutty Buffy. But
oh god.
But no, I don't know. I used to like play Buffy where I would like kick trees and like stab them.
Nice.
So I had like the routine down. I had a whole performance.
That's awesome. And your parents never were like, "What is she watching?" That's amazing.
The only thing I remember my mom not letting me watch was Sex and the City. Other than that, we watched everything. I watched Sopranos at like that age.
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn.
So
I remember when Sex and the City first came out, I was in the car with my dad and we were listening to the radio and a radio ad for it came on and it was like, "In the city, there's sex." And my dad goes, "Ooh, yuck." And then they kept saying like sex, and he kept going, "Ooh, isn't that gross, Andrew?" Ooh, because he was trying to change the radio and he couldn't, and he like couldn't figure it out. So he kept going like, "Ooh, that's gross, isn't it? Oh yeah, we don't like that." Ooh, and he kept trying.
We hate both things, sex and cities, don't we?
Yeah, gross.
Oh, get it away from me.
He's like, "We're gonna stay here in the suburbs, and you're never gonna touch another person." Yeah, but like, That was my first introduction to that show. Was that radio commercial, and I was like, "What is this?"
What's it about?
Yeah, what is this about? Now I want to watch it. That's amazing. So, okay, let's talk about the pilot for a second. I personally loved it. I was sucked in pretty quickly, and I was interested in the world, interested in the characters, and I loved Giles. He was like the school librarian that I wish I had. And because
the existing relationship you had with your school librarian was so much less fulfilling.
It was not what I wanted it to be. Well, I went to boarding school, and the closest thing to a librarian we had was this woman who did just basically computer tech. She ran the internet there. And at boarding school, you have restricted internet and restricted hours. And I was trying to go to some website, not porn or anything. Honestly, I think it was entertainment.
Definitely not porn. Thanks for clearing that up.
I think it was Entertainment Weekly or something, a pretty clean website. And it was blocked, and I was so frustrated and so mad. And so it was leave us a comment or whatever. And I was like, fuck you, and sent it, not knowing that she could trace the IP address and know. And so then and we rarely saw this woman. And every time we did, everyone was like, who is that? And she had kind of greased back mullet hair. And it was almost like a character on Buffy, frankly. And I'm sitting in the dining hall with my friends, eating lunch, and she comes in and she's like, get up. And I was like, what? And they were all like, what? We were all just so taken aback. And she's get up. And I said, no, I'm not. What are you doing? I'm not getting up. And she goes, you said fuck you to me. I saw it, and I was like, no. And I was so terrified, and I got my internet taken away for a week or something.
That's such a bummer because now if that happened, I would just dig into that position. Yeah, I said fuck you. Here's why. I wanted to look at Entertainment Weekly. I think we both agree that that's not outside the bounds.
Well,
and
yeah.
You can understand my frustration now. How dare you?
But would you have done that as a 15-year-old or 16-year-old?
Remember, as a 15-year-old, I was a full-grown man, so there wasn't a lot of intimidation.
That's fair. At
so
15 years old,
it's not like I was any less opinionated, so I probably would have given it to her.
That's fair. At 15 or 16, I was just hitting puberty. I was a late bloomer, so I was very timid. But it's of course, now as a fucking 31, almost 32-year-old, I would definitely go back and be like, are you nuts? This is ridiculous. I've gotten mouthy with cops, the older I've gotten, because I've just been like, this, come on. This is absurd. This is absurd. And then I always end up with a ticket or something.
Yeah, I'm oddly sassy to cops. I'm not sassy to anyone else in this world except cops.
Good.
Wow.
Don't need them.
What? Yeah, fuck them. What's your story about? What's your latest sassy cop story?
I'm the only one in my family that gets pulled over and gets tickets. I just drive recklessly, apparently. But my most recent ticket was in college, so I've done pretty well. But he pulled me over for speeding, and I was like, no, I was like, are you serious? I was not speeding. I was blah 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 blah. And he just was I just argue it, and then I ended up arguing the ticket and going to the court to argue it, and then I won because he didn't show up.
Nice.
Wow. Good
but I was
for
prepared to argue. I just didn't believe that I was speeding because I was at a light, and then I was going, and then he pulled me over seconds after that. And I was like, I couldn't have even gotten to that speed in that amount of time. So I was prepared.
It's a good argument.
That's a great argument.
But I argue it. Every time I get pulled over, I'm like, what?
You run over someone, you're like, what? What? Yeah. Bear, what did you think of the pilot?
I was going to try to hold out just in general about how I felt about this, but I fucking loved every second of everything I watched here. We got not that far into it, and I was watching with my girlfriend, and she looked at me, she's like, oh, you're about to really like this. And I was like, oh, yes, I am. This rips ass. This is awesome. So I was very, very into it. Oh yeah, hard. Just
in a good way.
Just clouds of pleasure just infusing themselves into my fucking mind. This
Bear's
show
watching,
is awesome.
Looking over at his girlfriend, he's like, oh.
Yeah, how you like it?
Yeah. I agree with you, man, but keep
I
going.
loved this. I not only did I like the pilot, like I know I'm very well aware that as someone who really likes horror movies and is into a bunch of different kind of things that are close to this, that not having experienced Buffy is basically a rejection of your horror card. Because I don't even think I've seen the whole movie. Because I can't remember. I felt like I'd seen it, but I can't remember any scene in it, which probably means I either like watched it drunk or something, or just watched a little bit of it on like cable and stopped. So it is embarrassing to have not seen this before, and it's great. Like I was probably a little young for it, even though I'm older than you, Rheanna. But this came out when I was 9 years old. I don't know if I would have liked it as a kid. I don't know if it would have worked at that age. But watching it now is fucking sweet. And I'm a big fan. I haven't watched all of it. Like I did fall off, but I've watched a lot of Supernatural. And to me, this was really scratching that same itch that Supernatural hits, where, kind of monster of the week setup, characters you like, dealing with kind of a wide range of classic and different takes on horror material. The stakes are never really that real because it is a 22 episode season. You kind of know from week to week, episode to episode, like probably a big character isn't going to die, though I was picking up on some shit that happened as I was walking, working through it. But man, do I like this. And I especially like that every single actor in this show, I mean, maybe at the young end, reads on screen like they're 27 years old. Like I love this alternate reality where people in their 30s are just going to high school. Like this is so far removed from the kind of realism we're kind of getting into expecting from TV. This is way out there. Nicholas Brendan doesn't look a day under 30 in the first episode. Like that guy's got like a 5 o'clock shadow. He looks so fucking old. Somehow he's a high school student. I love this. I love that surreal take that like parents, schoolwork are kind of taking a huge backseat to just going to the library, reading about horrible shit and then fighting it and then hanging out with your friends. Like that's awesome. Totally awesome. Like most of what I was kind of worried about was seeing that there were 7 seasons and being like, all right, how do they sustain this for that long? Because I really didn't know the premise of the show other than I assumed that there was Buffy and she slayed vampires. But I didn't know, like, all right, is she tracking one vampire? Is it like a mystery? Like Dexter, is it like one case through the season, or is it every week's a different deal? So they get around that nicely with the town being on the mouth of hell. And then clearly there's like a bigger world they're alluding to. And then as we skipped through these episodes you recommended, it looked like they go to college, so they don't stay in high school the whole time. And then I have no fucking idea what was going on in season 6, where they're at some shop that they all like magically own and live at, but I really liked it. So basically every choice that was made creatively in this show, I was super down for. So I'm really happy that I got to experience this. So that's kind of the first part, at least. So for the pilot, I thought it was awesome. I love the makeup and the effects, and I did not want to skip ahead to the next episode. I just wanted to start just watching it straight from
Me
there.
too, dude.
But we agreed to do it, so I was like, okay, I'm just gonna do it, and even if that feels weird, that'll
But I'm talking about like with episode 2. Like I had to know. I was like, I can't watch these other ones. Yeah, I was like, I can't watch these other ones without watching episode 2, considering the cliffhanger.
I didn't know if every episode ended on like a to be continued freeze frame. Just I never saw the show. Like that could be the house style.
Right.
So if that was the case, I would have had to watch the whole season. So I'm like, I gotta see this. Yeah.
I'm going to now. Like I'm gonna go back and watch
100%.
Start from episode 3, like, and go in order because like Bear, I loved it too. And like it was so funny because the Halloween episode, that was the first screenplay idea that I ever tried to write. And this is without the knowledge that Buffy had done it or anything. It was a friend of mine from college that we tried to crack it. And it was interesting because this was right after we graduated from college, so I was 23, and I was one of the people in film school that like didn't learn anything.
You told me about this. I recognize this project.
Actually. I didn't learn anything except how to fail, which is pretty valuable. But I didn't learn, and it's my fault because I didn't retain this information. I didn't learn like theme and subtext and character. I mean, I did learn those things, but I didn't retain them, and I didn't find them out until later when I would go see movies and really study them and then try to make my own, whether that was a short or a pilot or something. But this script idea was called the Costume Party, unoriginal title. And we weren't, and I can't speak for the other guy because he's great, but I wasn't familiar with theme and what was really underneath. And maybe we were talking a little bit about it and I was saying, oh yeah, that's whatever. But I didn't have the knowledge of it that I have now. And so watching this episode, two things came to me. One, I thought I might be able to do a better job with this idea now. But then I watched the episode and I was like, they nailed it. They did such a good job with it. It works so much better in the 45-minute than a drawn-out 90 minute to 2 hour movie. I feel like they captured exactly what the heart of that episode was, which is Willow coming out of her shell a little bit. And I thought that they did a good job with the logic, that it was just like, oh, the people that went to that store, their costumes, that they're turning into stuff, but the people that didn't, they're not, or whatever. And I just thought I thought they did a really good job. And I thought the way it was directed was smart too, hearing things like car crashes and gunshots off screen, because that saves budget. I don't know. I thought it was great. And by the way, I noticed a little thing. So Seth Green was a guest star in that episode, and it was directed by a guy. Hang on, it was directed by a guy named Bruce Seth Green. Oh. Which was really weird to me because I was looking at the I noticed it at the beginning and was like, what the fuck? But I also noticed the actor Robin Sachs, who's the bad guy who knows Giles, who owns the costume shop. He is, I mean, he's not super recognizable. He's unfortunately also dead now. But I recognized him, and Bear, I hope you do too. He's the dad in the beginning of The Lost World on the beach.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. Good stuff. Yeah.
He's the guy who says, "For God's sake, leave her alone, Deirdre." when the girl's running to play and
she wanders off from the picnic.
Right, she wanders off from the picnic. Do you want some roast beef? It's good. And then the dinosaurs attack her. Also,
she doesn't die though. They add a line a little later that she was maimed.
Yeah.
But not.
Yeah, John
killed.
Hammond says. "Oh, she's fine. She's fine." But
which is weird for a really mean-spirited movie. Like we should rewatch that movie. But there's a lot of brutal deaths there, and they cut away from it, and you definitely think that girl is fucked, which is awesome. But they give you that out to
I've been
PG-13.
Spoiler alert! I've been rewatching it. I watched about half of it the other night, and I still enjoy it.
Save your opinion for the show. God.
I will. All right, whatever. I won't say anything. One thing we forgot to mention: Cordelia. She is so fucking mean in the pilot. Know who your losers are.
So
oh
she
my
is,
god! But then she's redeemable.
I don't want to spoil myself too much, but she's part of the crew eventually.
Right.
And the other thing I thought was that maybe everyone wouldn't know that Buffy's a vampire slayer. Every single character knows before the halfway mark of the first episode. They're all like, oh yeah, why wouldn't you kill vampires? They're all kind of on board. So I'm excited to see that kind of play out because she was a big part of The Wish, which was a good episode, but she was still in it there. And then I looked it up. I know she leaves to go on Angel, but I'm very curious about her character arc, having just gotten a couple snippets from it.
She gets better. She's not.
She gets better.
She's still a bitch, but that's just her personality. But she obviously becomes part of the group.
Yeah,
part of the crew. Yeah, I noticed in the Halloween episode, which is only season 2, that she's a little bit more ingrained, and I feel like there's a little bit of tension between her and oh my god, why am I blanking on his name?
Willow? Or Xander.
Xander, yeah.
Well, yeah. Now that I think of because I rewatched the episodes too, and there are a lot of especially since you guys want to rewatch it. It's like there's so much like unanswered, but like also clues. So that will be fun to piece together when you do watch it.
Yeah, as we've established, I do not believe in spoilers, so it's not. I don't mind getting a taste or kind of throughout the run of the show.
Yeah. Bear doesn't. I do. You. I can't believe you don't care about spoilers.
Don't believe
that's
it.
wild to me. I also there was a line in the second episode which I think encapsulates what I imagine the series just is. And that's when Buffy's mom says to her, "Everything is life or death when you're a 16-year-old girl," which I love for two reasons. One, it's a great pun for the show, but also the fact that Joss Whedon pitched the show as high school as a horror movie. That is how high school feels. Everything does feel like life or death.
Yeah.
So yeah, I definitely thought it was great. I think like I can't wait to keep watching.
So one of my bigger questions is to Rheanna, is Hush like seen as the high watermark of the series?
I mean,
or what do you think that is? Because I've seen 6 episodes.
Yeah.
That one seems like it's insurmountable. That episode ruled.
That's for sure the scariest episode. That's why I chose it, because that's memorable to me as scariest episode, because those creepy ass things. Great
villain, awesome concept, incredible ending. That was a really, really tight episode.
Yeah.
And to me, I'm like, oh my God, there's no way there's a lot of them that are this good. That one really was fucking great.
It's memorable. I remember because even when I was watching it, I Snapchat to my sisters, and they were like, "Oh, the worst episode!" Because it's just so scary. When those villains are.
How old were you when you watched that one for the first time?
What was that? That season, probably only 6 or 7 or 8, in that range.
Jesus.
Yeah, the I forget what they're called, but the creatures in that one are legitimately terrifying. And it's a nice effect as they're kind of levitating through the town. I loved that.
They're scary. Yeah, I watched that one in the day, because even now I'm I don't want to watch that before bed.
That's how you know it gets you still. There are certain things that I will not watch before bed. I just won't do it.
And the other question I have is so I was talking about to someone earlier that I was going to go on the show and talk about Buffy, and they're like, oh yeah, didn't they do a musical episode? So is that I knew there was a musical episode, I never watched it. Is that
right?
Is that looked down upon? How does the musical episode kind of fit into people who've been fans for a long time? Because I thought it was awesome.
I think because for me, because it was the first series I watch of any show, and then now when I watch a series, they always throw in a musical episode. Yeah. Even I stopped watching Grey's Anatomy because of their musical episode.
They had a musical episode?
I was a fan of Grey's Anatomy until the musical episode. I stopped watching it after. I was like, nope, I'm done.
When the fuck did they have? When did they have one?
Yeah. Oh, and it's only in season 3 or 4. It's pretty early on.
Wait, I watched through season 3.
Then I'll have to look up which one it is, because it's pretty early on, which it's obvious the show's still going, I think, but I haven't watched an episode since.
That is
so what was it? Let's dive in
show?
Here. Yeah, well, what was the music bad, or what turned you off?
I think it was the way it was tied in, where obviously Buffy, it can be more natural, where it's someone put a spell on the town, so it's it fits in, and then just the writing's really funny. I think that's comedically, it's really funny. Even when I was younger, I was like, this is hilarious. And then watching it again, I'm like, oh, it's so funny. Yeah. But it's just well written, I think, and fits in well, where obviously Grey's Anatomy, it's this doesn't even make sense. It's just a fun episode they wanted to do, but it's not fun, because in Grey's Anatomy, it's one of the characters gets in an accident. So it's all in her mind or something.
Oh, so wait, I think I vaguely
They make
remember.
It fit, but it's and then they're all bad. I don't know. I just hate it.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was curious about, because I knew that was coming, because you said it was a musical episode, and I was like, all right, well, how's that going to fit in? But the best thing about Buffy, and this is definitely true of Supernatural, because they are very similar series. But when you're kind of dealing with, a monster of the week, you have a lot of leeway to try out different shit. So even these things that sound outlandish, like the Halloween episode, or The Wish or the musical, they're tied in pretty nicely within the world of the show. It wasn't like there was no warning, we're just going to do a musical episode.
Yeah.
Which I kind of thought that might be the case, because like with Grey's Anatomy, it's like, oh well, here, eat this slop, you pigs. Take this musical episode and shove it up your ass. But for Buffy, it was like, oh, that it tied in with the villain, who I loved and who I wish I hope I see more of that guy. I thought he was hilarious. But it felt more organic, and I loved that. And that it was supernatural when they do weird shit, like Groundhog Day takeoffs or whatever. It is woven into the fabric of the show more. When you have a horror show that's so natural, it's so good, and I for me that just really, really clicks. I loved it.
Yeah, it's I thought it was just really funny, and and I think Joss Whedon wrote all the songs for it too.
Songs are good.
So he probably was just like, I'm gonna have fun with this and write a musical episode and have songs.
But
it worked.
You guys are right in terms of the fact that it works within the fabric of the show, and that's why something like Grey's Anatomy. I mean, like, my reaction is pretty telling. Like, what the first, I didn't know, but second of all, it's like, why the fuck would they have a musical episode?
Yeah.
Like, that's just bizarre to me. It just doesn't fit. But Buffy and and shows that are a little fantastical and horror or whatever, that totally works. One other question I wanted to ask you before we wrap up is, it's really interesting to me that Buffy is your earliest TV memory, and really cool that it's a strong female lead. That's your earliest TV memory. That's pretty rare, I feel like. Yeah. Is that part of why you think it stuck with you, and that's why? So,
because like when you're asking me like why it still like holds up to me, and I was like thinking back, I'm like, it's true, like she's like a female lead, she's like feminine, but she's this strong female lead, but she's like still just a girl, where sometimes it's like she has to be masculine or a little manly, but she's not. She's just like a classic teenage girl, but can also kick ass. So, and then just like the friendships, I always stuck to, and then just like the identity stuff, as I talked to you about. But
yeah,
who's your favorite character? I know Carter said Giles.
Yeah.
Giles.
Yeah.
There's something soothing about Giles.
You're just a sucker for a man with a strong British accent.
Yeah.
It's in your blood.
Yep. Yeah. 100%.
I always liked Willow. I like her development too throughout the series. And then Xander, I always thought was just really funny. They're just like the good sidekicks. So I always kind of enjoyed the sidekick characters.
Yeah.
But there's so many people too that join the series, that like Seth Green and like the other people that come attached that you are familiar with now. And you're like, oh, wow, they were like big side characters in the show.
Yeah.
So I noticed Mchale Trachtenberg shows up. Mm-hmm. The one vampire, Spike, in season 2 is a bad guy, but obviously they have some kind of deal where he gets to hang around. So I like that.
Why is he British too? He and Drew are both British.
They found their way to Sunnydale somehow.
They just some of them are British. I don't know. Like a lot of the villains I noticed are British. Them, and then the guy who owns the costume shop. Like, hello,
Americans like the British villains.
I mean, I'm one of them, and it is in my blood. My in-laws are British, and I feel bad because every time I talk to them, and I don't mean to, and I'm not making fun of them, but every time I talk to them, I'm like, oh, hello. Like, just I can't. I'm such an annoying American fuckhead.
Yes.
That like there are times like. I'll be like, Zoe will be on the phone with her mom, and I'll be like, put her on speaker, and I'll be like, hey, Julian. She'll be like, hello, how are you? And I'll be like, oh, good, how are you? And then I'll be like, oh, shit, sorry. Like, what are you having for dinner? And I'll be like, a burger, which just fucking, I'm a loser and an idiot.
I like Giles. I liked him. I like the British accent. For some reason, he reminded me of David Byrne. And I was thinking like, oh man, I wish this guy was played by David Byrne.
Like Talking Heads, David
from
Byrne.
the Talking Heads. I don't. And then I looked at a picture of David Byrne. He doesn't look like him that much. But I was like, this would be amazing if it was David Byrne. And then I started thinking like, I kind of wish most people were David Byrne. So that might be my bias.
I know what you mean though. He doesn't like totally look like him when
he was
you
wearing
put them next to each other.
Jacket.
That's what it is. The big jacket and Stop Making Sense. Like when he's interviewing himself and he's like, I'll tell you later.
Yeah.
And he's just being weird. Like, I know what you mean. I could see David Byrne doing this. Kind of like David Bowie in The Prestige.
Yeah. Definitely.
just all of a sudden, like, whoa, like that guy's in this. Yeah, no, but
that would be more of a commitment than the Burn could make for 6 seasons.
Yeah. Final question for you, Ree. Do you ever bring up at your current job? Do you ever bring up like Buffy stuff, like in story rooms or like creative meetings of like, there was this episode of Buffy. Like, do you reference it like in your work for creative stuff?
I have with like my friend who's like a creative executive, just because she's like she's also a female, so like we're always talking about like female characters, and I'm like, well, let's think about Buffy, like just throughout the show. And just too, like Buffy, I think it was just so like ahead of its time, with just how the show ran. Like later on, like one of the main characters is like a lesbian, and that's not even like a character point, it's just like natural, and stuff like that. And you're like, wow, like this was ahead of its time.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I picked up on that. And I hate Allison Hannigan. I've hated her in everything I've ever seen her in. I hate her in How I Met Your Mother. I hate her in American Pie. I hate her in this. I don't like her. There's something about her delivery that it hits me the wrong way.
That's fair. She's good at playing the nerd. Like,
yeah, I mean, she's not like unwatchable, but there's just something I don't like about her, and I feel actively bad about it, but I'm not into it.
That shows that you're a good person, though.
We all have those people.
Yeah, like you said, like her being gay in this show is huge for the time. That's awesome, and you're right, because she in one of the episodes we watched, she was into Seth Green, and then we fast forward, and she's kind of like discovering that she's into this other girl who I'm sorry, I don't know who that character's name is, but then later that character was still there, so I was like, oh, this ended up being a good thing.
Yeah,
like, they end up being happy, which is nice. So that
to Rheanna's point, though, last thing before we go, we all have those people. Who are those people for you, Rheanna? If you can, and Bear, if we can name like 2 or 3, because I only have like 3.
I have 2.
2. Who are yours?
Mine are Anna Kendrick and Blake Lively.
Wow.
And we were in a movie together.
Yeah, hot take. You did not like A Simple Favor. Did you watch Love Life on HBO Max?
No, I don't know.
It's so good. I loved it. But yeah, it's all Anna Kendrick. So, what is it about them?
Just kind of like I can't like pinpoint it. I just get annoyed. Like I think Anna Kendrick, I stopped like just because she had like a moment like after Pitch Perfect where like everyone was putting her anything, and she was just kind of the same character. So for me, when actresses tend to just play that same character for a while, I get annoyed with them. Like Kristen Stewart was that for me for a while, but then she came out of it when she started doing like more indie films. I was like, okay, she's redeemed herself. And then Blake Lively, I don't care for.
How much of it is like what you see of them in the public image versus their acting?
It's a mixture, because I'm like, I don't think Blake Lively annoys me as a person, but I don't like her acting. Where Anna Kendrick is just both.
Okay.
It's like a human and an actress.
Yeah. Bear, what about you?
I'm drawing a blank. You have to come back to me. I mean, obviously, there's if you talk to me for more than 5 minutes, I hate everything. But for actors, it's tough. I mean, I've never liked Allison Hannigan.
Yeah.
But other than that, I'm just drawing a blank, which is uncharacteristic.
That's okay.
Fuck. I was gonna say like someone everyone likes, like I don't know if that Michael J. Fox, but that's not true.
That's savage.
Yeah. So
he also has Parkinson's.
Yeah, I know.
Be nice to
awesome.
him.
I love him.
He's sick. Yeah, he's great. I have 3, and it's definitely, as you said, Rheanna, it's definitely like mixed between their acting as well as what I think as people. Maybe even more so the people thing. And I preface like I don't know them, I'll probably never meet them, but it's just just their screen persona. I feel like something comes out. Number 1 is Joel Mchale. I do not find him funny at all. I don't get it. I don't get why people think that guy is funny. And I don't get it. I don't know why. I don't get it. And and I heard a story from a friend who worked on a movie with him where he was kind of like, not the nicest guy, so that colored it a little bit.
Mhm.
Number 2 is Zoe Deschanel.
Yeah.
I find her. I also I don't think she's like. I don't really get it with people love her as an actress. I don't really get it. I love 500 Days of Summer, but I like that more for like the writing and the directing as opposed to like her. Um, and then number 3 is Josh Gad. I think that for some reason there's something about this guy. Yeah, first of all, I hate Frozen.
Fuck you.
Yeah, Frozen sucks. He sucks.
Frozen is awesome.
Olaf is so annoying. Number 1.
Olaf is amazing.
I will say Josh Gad is fan-fucking-tastic in the Book of Mormon. And I never saw him. I actually saw everyone but him in it because he was like doing something that day. But the soundtrack is amazing, and Book of Mormon is probably my favorite musical ever, and I will give him 1,000,000 points of credit for that. But I just feel like every time something happens in the world, it's like I click on a link that says like, celebrities react to the death of whoever, or like celebrities blah 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 blah, like reaching out about this. And like Josh Gad is always there. And I'm like, who gives a fuck what you think? Like, it's like Dave Chappelle's joke about after the 9/11 attacks when he was watching MTV and they were like, we got Ja Rule on the phone. And he's like, who gives a fuck what Ja Rule thinks at a time like this? Like, I don't want to dance. I'm scared to death. I want some answers Ja Rule might not have right now. And like every time something happens, Josh Gad is like, amazing. And he just always says something, which probably is something fucking I do in life anyway. So maybe I'm just seeing me and I'm like, I hate me. But I don't think he's a bad dude at all. But like even these like reunited series, like, I mean, like they're definitely enjoyable. He's been doing these things during quarantine of like reuniting all these like casts of like beloved movies. And they're definitely fun. But I'm also kind of like, why are you doing this? So I don't know. Those are my 3, and literally no one else.
I was able to rub my remaining 2 brain cells together. I hate everything to do with mumblecore. So I hate the Duplass brothers. I hate that guy from Chicago. Everyone likes Joe.
Joe Swanberg.
Awful nightmare movies. Terrible movement.
Nightmare movies.
Awful, self-indulgent dribble. It's so bad. The other person I hate is Michael Che. That guy can go fuck himself, and he will find out that I said that and say something mean to me, and I don't care. Guy's never been funny and acts as if just making it to the position he's at justifies everything he does. Not funny.
Oh man, we have some. What'd you say?
I love this.
Yeah,
you're in it for the shit talking. Yeah, thanks for bringing this out in us.
Yeah, this is crazy. I never. The thing that I'll say about the shit talking is like I try really hard not to actively participate in it because it's like, like as an aspiring creative person, I don't want to like just like seem like one of those armchair critics who's like, yeah, fuck them, and then not doing anything about it.
Well, as you remind me every week, I don't work in Hollywood anymore, so fuck it. I don't care. These
Bear doesn't have any skin in the game because, as you guys know, he gave up on his dream. But like, I don't want to be an armchair critic. It's more just personal taste. That's it.
I'm very open about my dislike for Blake and Anna as actresses. So.
Yeah. And also, they all dislike, you know what I mean? Like, Josh Gad doesn't like certain people. Like, Joel Mchale doesn't like Zoe Deschanel, Blake Lively, Anna Kendrick, fucking Allison Hannigan, all the mumblecore people that Bear destroyed.
They're too busy making bad movies to hate anybody. So,
yeah, pretty wild. Well, this was great. Thank you for joining us.
Do we need to render a final judgment, or is it kind of writing's on the wall?
Writing's on the wall, man. Buffy is still good. Buffy is still great. It might be the first thing that we've done on the show that I have not experienced beforehand. That not only do I think it's still good, I like actively loved it.
I needed this bad. We've watched a bunch of stuff that I found to be difficult to render a strong opinion.
Yeah.
which is weird. But like a lot of the even movies like Space Jam, it's just like God, like I can't even get up to hate it.
Yeah, I can't either.
And
But
I've
we
been
didn't
waiting
like it.
Yeah, I didn't like it, but I wanted to just mash it into the trash compactor. And it's like, oh, I can't even like get that passionate about it.
Right.
Like, oh, this is unironically good.
Yeah.
This is
So
a
happy.
gem.
Yeah, you fucking introduced us to something awesome.
Well, I'm glad. Yeah, it's concerned you guys have never seen it. That's kind of fun for you to like actually thoroughly enjoy it. Because I've enjoyed it. I remember my freshman year of college, I rewatched the whole series again from like when I first saw it, and I just loved it. And I was like, that is amazing. I love it. I understand so much more of the humor now. And then just watching the episodes again, I'm like, oh, I'm ready to dive back in. It's so fun.
It's fantastic, and it's all on Hulu for anybody listening. Not that you wouldn't know that. Not that you'd come here to be like, where can I find Buffy? But let's give a big thank you to Rheanna Sorenson, not only for joining us, but for introducing us to this fantastic show.
Yes.
And we will see you guys next time when we discuss Adam Sandler's classic, Billy Madison. 25 years old this year. My God, we're old. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Goodbye.
Bye. All right, let me stop recording.
Yeah.
Okay. Rheanna, what the hell was that?
I blacked out.